What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Stream Kings, where your boy Danny D and I are back at it again. And today, on a very momentous occasion, repping some Boston Red Sox gear. So it's,
Baseball.
I'm so hyped. I know that's not what this podcast is about, but I'm ready for baseball.
hmm
So wasn't much of a game today. I'll throw that in there. I watched a little bit of the spring training game, and it was atrocious, but it is what it is. So.
Well, we didn't expect much, so
Right.
I
It's for
think that's
funsies.
fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funsies.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, back at it again. Here talking about movies, and today talking about a movie that we're both pretty excited to talk about because it's pretty relevant as the sequel coming out here in what 2 weeks, I think.
I think it's
Question mark.
one, man. I think it's next weekend.
Is it really next weekend?
The
Okay.
first,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Cool. Nice. So we're here today talking about Dune Part 1. So the 2021 film, and even though Daniel doesn't like numbers, I'm going to talk about him. 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.9 on Letterboxd. The movie made $433 million on a, let's see if I can read my chicken scratch, on a $165 million budget, which is much larger than the last one that we did, but
Not too shabby.
not bad, not bad. Again, not that we're Rotten Tomatoes is not the end all be all. I'm going to say that every time, but
But, yeah, and I feel like I gotta echo that too, because a lot of times I feel like I can fall into like the like critic trap, I guess, and like
mhm.
judging a movie automatically based on its score on any of the various like aggregation sites or whatever. But the reality is, like, just watch what you want to watch, man.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Although
If it were 20, I'd probably watch it. I may not like it, but I'd give it a shot.
you
I'd, gi-
wouldn't be the only one who didn't like it, so
I'd give, I'd give it, I've given movies with lower scores more chances. So,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And talking really quick about numbers, I think early numbers for Dune 2 are out. I think a lot of the like critics and all those special people who get to preview stuff have been able to see it, and it's pretty high. I'm excited about the movie. Currently streaming on I think Netflix for next week and a half, and
mm,
on HBO as well. So, which really quick, I will say one thing that I appreciate about some of these streaming services. I kind of don't really like the direction that streaming is going, just with everybody having their own platform. But a movie like Dune, where it's able to actually stay on HBO Max or Max because it's a Warner Brothers product, I appreciate that it's there and available for the people. So,
mhm.
but all right, hopping right in. So, Dan, this is a 2-year-old movie, so it's a little, or 3-year-old movie, so it's a little bit different. But how are you? How are you exposed to Dune?
I was exposed to Dune via the David Lynch cult classic of 1984 because my dad, and I know we mentioned this last week when we talked about Alien or 2 weeks ago, but like my dad is a big sci-fi fan, huge sci-fi
Mm-hmm.
fan. And he read all the books, most of them, I think. And we watched the movie together, not unlike we did Alien. Like when I first saw
Mm-hmm.
it, it was just something that we did. And honestly, I don't know. And you know, I just thought it was cool. I just thought
Yeah.
it was so different at that time, and it still is pretty different. Any David Lynch movie is going to feel and look a little different, but it was so wild compared to what any other movie I'd seen before that, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was, I don't know, it was really memorable. And I remember really, really enjoying sci-fi even more moving on,
Sure.
and so when they um, decided to remake it, um, I was pretty excited too, because I'm also well aware that that older version is not, great. It does hold a little special place for me, but I was excited to see somebody like I don't even know how to say his name. Denny Villeneuve. Is that right?
I
That's not
think it's
right.
Villeneuve. I
Yeah,
on a video. I also didn't know how to until earlier today. So
Villeneuve. I feel like I want to keep saying it that
it is more fun.
way though. No, but like knowing his work. enjoying Dune previously, and then knowing his work going into it, I was doubly excited, and so that's how I got into it.
Sure, 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 sure. So, and I know you kind of said it wasn't great. Like it really wasn't that great. Was it kind of one of those like, hey, they're trying to do? Because honestly, I've never seen it. I've never seen the original.
It's hard to explain. you know, it
Okay.
he just David Lynch just does what David Lynch does, and it feels like a movie. I think the big problem is that whereas this one is two parts, he tried to do the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
in one.
Mm. Gotcha.
And it feels like he tried to do the whole thing in one. So
Gotcha. That's fair.
yeah,
So for me, so this was 2021. This is right after COVID. I want to say that the preview for this movie, I actually didn't do the research at all. It either came out like right before the shutdown or like right after movies started coming back, kind of just post shutdown. I don't remember, but I knew absolutely nothing about Dune, about the book, about the previous film. So I just saw the trailer and I was sorry, I was hyped. I was super excited. And this is one of those movies that I was like, I have to see this. I need to see it in. For me, it's Dolby. I know IMAX is the big one, but I knew I needed to see it, and I absolutely loved it. I was I don't think I really knew what I was watching. I definitely didn't because I didn't know anything about it. But I, even after I got out, I was still kind of like, what did I just watch? Like I enjoyed it, but I didn't really know how to feel about it. You know what I mean? But
right,
I knew it
right.
was good, some good feelings. So,
Mhm.
but we're here to I think we've both seen it several times. So here to talk about it, talk about it a little bit more. So, hopping right into some fun stuff. I thought this movie did a really good job of telling Paul Atreides' story and kind of like laying some of the groundwork, right? And I'll talk a little
Yeah,
bit more about this later, but I thought it did a good job of just kind of at the beginning of the film talking about and showing Paul as a like the son of a duke. He's studious. He's doing his like practice fighting with like the head of the military, all that kind of stuff. And then you go to the end of the movie and he's killing a dude, which you come to find out and looking into it, and that's probably him like killing his past self. But it's really kind of showing his progress from like some squire basically to like becoming a man almost, which I thought they did a
mhm,
really good job of.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think it. I think it does, and I think it does. And Timothy Chalamet does a really good job of it too. And like, yeah, he's a Duke's son, and like he's really studious and everything, but he's also kind of a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he kind of keeps that that little edge to an extent,
Yeah.
But like you can tell, like he
Mm-hmm.
grew up rich, like
Yeah.
his attitude is just not great, At least
Yeah.
not. It's not. It can come off snobby, But like
I'll talk more about that later.
seeing that change kind of coming from the start to finish to where he
Mm-hmm.
ends up, basically being like, you know what, I don't feel like I'm going back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
what's
So
up?
yeah, and so talking about a little bit about Chalamet, and not to dive too much into him, but really like the cast in general. Like the cast for this movie is incredible. You got Chalamet, you've got
Yeah.
um, Zendaya, you've got Oscar Isaac, you've got Rebecca Ferguson, you've got oh my gosh, Stellan Skarsgård. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes too because there's so many.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin, like, and they all are batting like 1,000 in this movie.
Mhm.
Like, I think this is a great performance by all of them, all around. Agree? Disagree?
No, agree. And I think we've gotten really fortunate too in our in the movies we've picked so far. Most of them, it's like these casting choices are great, which makes
Mm-hmm.
our little, Parent Trap Monstars Award pretty difficult, to be honest. 'Cause it's like I don't want to replace anybody, but I guess if I got to, I got to.
I've got
But
one,
no,
but we'll get to it later.
casting. I thought the casting was good, great.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. one question that came up when I was rewatching this movie and talking about some of the casting. So, aside from this movie in particular, there's a lot of like ex pro wrestlers that have turned into actors. Just I've got a list here, and I want to talk a little bit about each of them. So, um, Jesse Ventura slept on. You see him in Predator, Master of Disguise, Running Man, which I think is a fantastic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Predator.
Um,
He and
yeah,
Predator was perfect.
bro, the mustache and everything. I was just like, this
Right.
guy's gonna
Hmm.
kill me,
Hmm.
which is what they were going for, right?
Hmm. Right.
John Cena as Peacemaker, really, like a really good character there.
You
Also
know
in
how
the
I
Fast
feel
and
about Peacemaker.
say that again.
So, and you know how I feel about Peacemaker.
I do, I do. When his fatalities popped up in the group chat earlier in his upcoming Mortal Kombat, oh my gosh! Like
Hmm.
I hopped back on
This
just to
is
see like, was it actually the 6th that is coming out? Maybe it's today. Maybe,
right.
maybe.
Right.
Yeah, I got The Rock, obviously, and like
This is.
I could list his movies for like
Mhm.
forever. But Fast and Furious, I loved him in Ballers, Jumanji, Moana, and then our guy in this movie, Dave Bautista, who doesn't have a ton of lines, a lot of screen time, but his kind of filmography, including like Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, Blade Runner 2049, Dune, Glass Onion. So my question with this is, which actor or which wrestler turned actor do you think is like the best actor of all? And it doesn't have to be one that I mentioned there. I just want to know like, what do you think?
That's tough. That's a really that's a good question.
Thank you.
My gut reaction though is Roddy Piper in They Live.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I have no idea who that is.
You know, well, we got a lot of work to do here, pal.
Pick a different answer.
You know,
I'm
well,
just kidding. I'm just
it's
kidding. I'm
no,
just
no,
kidding.
I'm fixing it.
That's not how
Oh,
it
it's
works.
John Carpenter,
Okay, I know him.
and well, I'm not going to give it away, but anyway, he's really good at it.
Okay.
That's my personal favorite. But I guess out of the ones that you listed, I think that I really enjoy Batista as Drax the best.
Yeah.
Just because I think I didn't see it. I think I didn't see it coming. Also, side note, not movie related, Kevin Nash in Detroiters is a really good. It's a really good one as Tim Robinson's
Okay.
dad. Um,
We love
another
Tim Robinson in this household.
yes, we are a Tim Robinson family of one. Me, it's just me.
I don't get invited.
Well, you haven't really been thrilled every time I bring him up, so
Whatever. I agree with you. I think Bautista is the best actor out of at least the guys that I named. There may be some performances that I've missed, as you've pointed out and reminded me of. But I think The Rock gets a lot of credit, and I'm not going to say he's not a good actor, but I think
uh,
he always plays the same guy.
you know what I just
What?
remembered?
What?
Macho Man Randy Savage as Bonesaw in Spider Man.
That was the best. What, like 30 seconds of
Seconds of playtime. Oh man, that was a classic.
That was a great cameo performance by an actor or
Incredible.
by a wrestler for sure. It was great.
Incredible.
But I think Batista has shown some variety in his performances, right? Like you were saying, like Drax kind of that came out of nowhere. I did not expect him to be
Mm-mm,
hilarious, but
mm-mm.
also like relatable and like emotional at times, right? Like I feel like he
Right,
captured that perfectly. And
right.
some of the other guys, they're just like big and burly and have, we appreciate seeing them on screen, right? But they're not great at acting necessarily, you know? So,
Right, right.
but all right, that was that does it for my wrestling corner question, but thought it needed to be addressed.
We can add a wrestling corner question into this. And it won't be
Honestly, we
applicable
could.
for movie we pick, but I
We
feel
could just
like
insert a wrestler. Which wrestler would be perfectly
which
inserted
wrestler
into
would
this
you
movie?
pick to put in this movie and where and why? Ooh, that's not bad.
I'm writing that
Not
down.
bad at all. Write that down.
All right. I've got a couple more notes here, just like little snips and stuff. Anything that you want to cover really quick before we can go back and forth a little bit.
Really feel like I want to know, and maybe I do, and I missed it. You know the opening quote,
Mm-hmm.
"Dreams are messages from the deep." I need to know
Yeah.
what said that.
Like
I need to
what
know
creature?
who said it. Yeah,
It was one of the. Hold on, because I wrote this down. I watched some videos and did research.
I feel like
So, fun
Go
fact:
ahead.
it's not from
Yeah,
it's not from the books. That was totally
right.
made up for the movie, but it was one of the Sardaukar, whatever.
Yeah,
The people
yeah.
were, yeah. Which their voice and like them playing like the whatever, like it sounds like a didgeridoo, but
Like in yeah, I see it now. Hear it now, I guess.
yep, yep. But
Hear and
that is a good quote though, and
right, especially given, you know, how Paul's journey starts basically with dreams from
mm-hmm,
Jessica, basically,
mm-hmm,
and then moves on to like his own dreams and things like that, and how there were times where it's like, even if you like, dreams are so subjective too. You know,
mm-hmm.
like they may be like quote messages from the deep, but like they're like you just get flashes, especially for him. There's just images, flashes, bits and pieces, and it's like, what does all this mean? It's like having to put a puzzle together. And I thought that was
Yeah.
really
Well,
cool.
and sometimes it like comes to fruition and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it like touches on stuff that happens.
Mhm.
Like when he talks about his dream about, oh my gosh, can't remember his name, but Jason Momoa's character,
Duncan,
um,
Idaho.
Duncan Idaho. Yes, thank you. Like when he talks about Duncan Idaho, like him seeing Duncan dying, and it's like,
Mhm.
he didn't, I don't think he died exactly the way that he saw it happening, but like that did happen. But
Yeah,
some
he
of the
did.
other stuff that you see, yeah, but you see like some other dream sequences where like when it's Paul and Jessica when they're trying to like maneuver that ship kind of close to the end of the movie, like
Mhm.
Paul's almost getting like taught how to fly this thopter or whatever by some guy that we don't really see, and then we see him at the end and he's the guy that Paul has to kill. It's like
Mhm.
we see him in a totally different light than how Paul had this dream about him. So I think they use dreams really, really well.
Right. No, I agree with that.
So
Definitely.
yeah, good thought there. Absolutely. One other thing that I thought was cool is I just like how these very like ancient societies like to use swords as weapons. Like I feel like that we've moved away. Like this is not a political statement at all, but like I I'm not a big fan of like guns as like I'm gonna be like big and like powerful. I like wielding a sword. Like let's do that kind of stuff, right?
I think
But
it's
th-
yeah, and I think it's cool. It's like not even necessarily like ancient. Like, and these people are advanced enough to figure out how to make what still suits. It's not like they're
mm-hmm,
technologically unadvantaged. They just
mm-hmm,
prefer to use them. And I mean, they use
yeah,
guns. They use guns at some points, um, like at the beginning when they're um, shooting at the Harkonnens or whatever.
mm-hmm,
But you know, it seems the primary weapon of choice is a blade. And you're right.
yeah. But
That's
also, upon further research, because I wrote this down and then watched something and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know those
Mhm.
shield things that they have, like when they're training earlier on in the movie?
Yeah.
Apparently, those, like, they were designed to be, like, if I'd finished the book, I probably would have read this. But if those were, like, penetrated somehow by a bullet, apparently
Mhm.
they would have, like, exploded and killed everybody around. So actually, technologically, they were so advanced that they're like, we're going to basically negate any effect or impact that a
Uh,
gun would have. Right? Isn't that kind of cool?
yeah. I like that. Yeah. Um,
So
Also, fun fact: you should go back when you're done here and look at the shields as presented in the 1984 movie.
is it pretty hilarious?
Yes, it's very, it's
All right.
hilarious.
Noted. Noted. That's my homework for afterwards.
Hmm.
I'm writing it down. Look
Hmm.
at shields. All right. Because, I mean, when did that movie come out? You said the 80s?
I'm pretty sure it's 84. Hang on, I can actually let's look.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Technology's come a little bit since then. So I'm sure
Yeah,
it was very well done.
1984. No, it was
Okay.
not well done. It was not well done. Not even for
I
the
can't
80s.
wait. I can't wait to watch it. We'll do that one next episode in 2 weeks.
Right. We can open with,
Compare the two.
oh, Michael, what did you find out when you did your research?
Oh man. All right, I had one more snip. Then it's some like imagery and stuff. But if you haven't, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Um, you may talk about it too, and um, it's a little thing, but to me, I really enjoy stuff like this. That like everything had its own feel, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like Arrakis and the people on it, and the
Mm-hmm.
imagery used in it, the cinematography on it. Like I felt like I was on a desert planet, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then on the Atreides homeworld, you know, you feel like it's another separate place, totally, completely.
Mm-hmm.
Colors change,
Yeah.
cinematography changes, and I know that that's on purpose, and I know that that's not unusual in filmmaking, but I
Right.
think that I like it when it's done really well, and I feel like Dune does it really well, and even in portraying the different people, like the Harkonnens,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and their home world, and like the way they dress and everything looks very specific, and it looks very well made for that whatever location or people group or person wearing it. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And one thing on that, and like I just kind of noticed, like I don't know if you saw like the different ships that they were using, right? So
Hmm.
the Atreides ships were very like I don't the word escapes me right now, but they had like a lot of angles and shapes and things like that. And then if you look at the Harkonnens, like theirs were very circular. You know, they
Hmm.
were like, and I don't know, that probably means something as far as like space travel and something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I love how every little detail, you know, they paid super close attention to it. So
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
The one last little bit of like, I guess, imagery or comparison that I want to talk about was the whole concept of like the bullfighting.
Hmm.
Like a couple different times, I thought they used that really well, and sometimes they called it out very explicitly. You
Hmm.
know, like when Paul and Leto were actually like talking about it, but you just see it kind of a few times, like when they're walking around in their house. And one time in particular, I thought it was cool. Was when Leto has been incapacitated, and he's about to be murdered by
Hmm.
the Harkonnen guy. And
Hmm.
you look like right above his head, and it's like just the head of a bull.
Right.
Um, and like if you, the root word for Harkonnen, we think, anyways, in theory, is Finnish for like ox or bull.
Hmm.
So like the whole concept of the bullfighting between the Harkonnens and the Atreides families, and like in the end there, it's like, you know,
Hmm.
Atreides, you may have a head of an ox like above your kitchen table, but
Hmm.
you're about to be killed by this bull. So I like
Right.
that. I thought it was good. I don't know if it was
That's
intentional or not. Oh, it probably was. That's a hard accident to make, but
right.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Good stuff.
all right. Any more little snips before we hop into some categories? And ooh, look at the lasers.
Come on.
One of these days you're gonna
Come on. Laser me.
get
Nothing. Beep.
I'm channeling my inner Homelander.
Oh, I thought you said
uh,
Cyclops.
or Cyclops. That is more like this is more Cyclops.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Like that's
I
one.
got to get my references straight. What am I thinking?
I I can't believe it. I can't
I'm
believe
just
we're on
going
the
to
same
quit now.
podcast, right?
Yeah, what the heck?
You
All
don't
right.
know who Roddy Piper is. Get real. Anyway, I
All right, let's hand out some awards and talk about some categories. So, number one and one of my favorites, has Dustin Robertson seen this movie?
again, no, no, he hasn't, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to. Although, again,
See,
I feel like I feel like this isn't so sci-fi that it's inaccessible, and I feel like we could hook him on the action. You know,
yeah, but I think with this particular movie though, I think we'd have to sit him down and like actually hold him there because this is not the most action packed. I think
it's also a
of I
very
mean
long
we
movie, which I
it's a
don't
very long movie.
think that he
There's a lot of back. What's
appreciates.
that?
Which I don't think that he appreciates.
No, 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 no. He wants 30-minute episodes of The Office or whatever. I think I'm with you. I think his only exposure to this movie is probably the Call of Duty skins that came out last fall. So I
Man,
think that's the closest he's gotten. So
yeah, forgot about those.
I know
Just like
you
about
really
this.
wanted to buy one,
Yeah,
and I just brought it up. So sorry, pal.
sad all over again. Devastated. I don't want to
World's
be
smallest
Paul. I want
violin.
to be the starter car.
I
Anyway,
know. Yeah.
let's move
Side
on to
note. Okay.
something about it.
Dustin hasn't seen this movie and probably won't. All right. So the Disneyfication Award, could this movie be made into a theme park attraction? And if so, what kind?
I say yes. And I feel like, and I was thinking about this one probably more so than I needed to at the expense of some of my other choices. Because, and I thought that like the sequence where they fly out on the Thopter to see the spice
Mm-hmm.
harvesting and then
Mm-hmm.
the worm comes, right? I thought that
Mm-hmm.
whole sequence would look really cool or be really cool as like a Rise of the Resistance style
Yeah.
ride, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um that feels like a ride in and of itself. Even like the plot, like that's the kind of thing that happens in a theme park ride. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's something that's for even like an IP one,
Yeah.
like Velocicoaster, like, oh wow, we're going to go see these velociraptors. Oh no, they've escaped. We got to get out of here. You know,
Right.
it just feels like even like a theme park ride in and of itself. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
think
think
that's
so.
good. That's good. I'd ride that. You better call Bob Iger right now and tell him, hey,
Yeah,
bud, I got a banger of an idea.
you
And
have
Lord knows you need one.
you have more. Hey pal, heard you're looking for an idea.
Listen, sorry, Bob. Sorry.
Listen, you got more pull with him than I do.
I just want to be employed tomorrow. That's all I care about. So, um, I think I agree with you. Yes, I really like your idea. Yours is a little bit more creative than mine. I kind of went just like a very much like Flight of Passage slash like Soarin' type of ride where you're almost just like soaring over. Like I think if you're kind of I guess very similar where or whatever I forget her name, but she's kind of like introducing the Atreides family to Arrakis. Like I think you
Mhm.
could just kind of do something like that, right? Where it's like, all right, this is Arrakis. We're seeing all these different things, and you're just kind
Mhm.
of almost going on a tour because I think the cinematography in
Right.
this movie, and you touched on it earlier,
Mhm.
incredible. Like, I think people would wait hours to just ride a ride as long as you felt like it was immersive and cool. So,
Mhm. Oh, what's her
but
name? The woman that's doing. I think it's Kynes, but she has that name. It's like something of the change,
I think you're right. I think it is kind.
but I can't
No,
remember like
Florence Pugh's
the
not in
title.
this movie. It is Liette Kynes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right. Next one. And this is a toughie, but I've got one. Probably a hot
Mhm.
take. Trading Places slash
Okay.
Monstars slash whatever you called it earlier.
Okay.
Um,
That's what you have on
what
here.
actor? Huh?
Well, that's what you have in our notes. Monstars.
Oh,
Don't act like, oh, whatever you wanted to call it. This was your idea, pal. You called it the Monstars Award.
All right. If you could replace one actor or actress in this movie with anybody in acting history, who are you replacing and why?
See, this, like I said, this one is always hard, especially with well cast movies. So I think
Mm-hmm.
instead, I think that again, to be clear, I wouldn't recast this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't even think that I'd pick another actor, but I think it would be cool to swap two of them. I
Okay.
think it would be cool to swap um, Batista's character and Duncan, Idaho.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
More so because I think it would be fun to see Batista be, because we saw him be kind of funny,
Mm-hmm.
humorous in um, Guardians, right?
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it works really realistically given the way they work
Mm-hmm.
in the book, but I've also seen, you know, Jason Momoa do some pretty serious roles. Maybe not
Yeah.
if I don't know if he's done anything outright villainous. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I mean, he was
Uh,
kind of terrifying as a Dothraki in
yeah,
Game of
Khal
Thrones.
Drogo, yeah, and so like even the way Josh Brolin's character describes the Harkonnens, like they're animals, they're brutal. Which I mean, that's what he was as like a Dothraki, and he did that
Mm-hmm.
well, and that's arguably what most people found him from,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I think it would be. I think I was more so interested to see how Batista would have interacted with Timothy Chalamet in like the kind of fun role, but I think
Mm-hmm.
Jason Momoa also works just as well, could work as well flipped. But I don't.
Yeah.
I like them both where they're at.
Okay.
To
Yeah.
be
That's fair.
clear. So,
Yeah. So mine's a little bit of a warmer take. I am I'm recasting Paul Atreides.
I knew you were going to do that. Let's see if I can
I
see who it was.
I Chalamet is a good actor. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's not a good actor, but I thought he was a little too moody in this movie, and maybe that's not his fault. Maybe that's how he was written. But I think looking at how he was written in the books and things like that, he's a very like charismatic character and kind of
Mhm.
like more relatable. And I just think Chalamet. I think you kind of mentioned on it earlier. Like he's very aristocratic, and maybe we're going to see in the second movie see a little bit more of him as a like
Mhm.
a freeman, like more on that side. But I think I honestly think I think a 90s Matt Damon would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Okay.
know,
Yes.
like Goodwill Hunting ish, because he's still like an intimidating character, right? Not intimidating, that's not the right word, but still like I think less moody, but still can be kind of angsty. But also, I mean, we've seen him as all sorts of things in his career, so I think um, I just thought he would have done a good job as like making Paul a little bit more human. Like there were a couple times watching him, I just felt like he was kind of, especially in some of the dream sequences, like overacting
Mhm.
almost. Like I get that maybe that's what he's trying to portray, but I just I don't know. I
No,
didn't I didn't love
I
it all
can
the
see
time.
that. I think, yeah. I starters. Fun side note. You said Matt Damon, and I saw in my head Mark Wahlberg, and I thought, "What? Are you crazy? No way, man." Absolutely. But to be fair, I think that's partially. I didn't read the book, but my dad has, and I've done research on it before. I think that's Paul's character. But there were times when I was watching it when I also felt Paul's character, whether he's written that way or not, it did feel overdone. There were scenes where
Hmm.
I felt that as well. Um, and like you said, I think that also has something to do with the fact that that's how it was written. He was written,
Hmm.
but you know, it could not be.
Yeah.
It could be
Yeah.
more.
So I don't want to take away from how he is designed necessarily. I just think it could have worked a different way. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
So, all right. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Um, all right. National Treasure Award. If there was one artifact or item from this movie that you could steal from set, what are you choosing and why?
This was so tough. This was very
I
tough.
thought it was hard too.
I want a thopter.
Okay. You just keep stealing the big vehicles. You did that with Alien too. You're just like, I just want the whole ship that the alien's sitting in.
Yeah, no, I don't see why not. I mean, they're both. I guess if you want me to go smaller, I
No, you
want.
could pick what you want. You're the one committing theft for this item, so do what you want.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll take a whole spaceship. Thank you very much. And maybe if I'm lucky, there's a crisp knife in there. Okay, so whatever, man. So sue me. So I like cars, spaceship.
It's because you had to take yours to the shop today, right?
So
If I just
yeah,
had a thopter, I wouldn't have to worry about that.
if I had a thopter, this nail wouldn't have gotten in my tire. That's just thinking of ways to avoid nails in my tires. So,
Oh no, that's cool. I like the thopter. I love I love the design of it. Kind
mhm.
of like mosquito, not mosquito,
Go ahead.
dragonfly.
I was like, say it,
Yeah,
Michael. Say it.
yeah. Words are hard. Okay. No, that's cool. That's a good choice. I think I went back and forth on a couple, but I think to be not basic this time, because I didn't want to take an egg like I did for Alien, I want the projector. I want the little projector thing that Paul has, and I really hope that it works. When he's in his room and he's just sitting
Oh,
there
the
and it's
little like
projecting,
thermal
like,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, where he's like, this is what Arrakis looks like. This is one of the sand guys, like, doing the little dance to not
That's just
attract the big worm thing. You know?
also
I think that'd be
wish
pretty cool.
I wish the voice was an item.
That would be pretty sweet. Then you would be like president or something.
No, I don't think I want that. It's so stressful.
What
I'll
what
give me
would
the
what would
top.
you do? What would you do if you had the voice? What would you do? What'd be the number one thing?
I don't know. I didn't plan it. I just now this is just this was a thought that just came to me. I don't know, okay, you tell me you do your homework on They Live in the 1984 shield suit thing, and I'll let you know what I would do with the voice at the beginning of the next pod.
Perfect. No, let me know tomorrow for Friday Night Murder Gang. All right, let's go. Next question.
Ooh,
All
or
right.
the gum jabbar.
Oh, that thing's terrifying. Can you imagine just putting your
Yeah, that's
hand in
pretty
an
cool,
empty
huh?
box, having he said that's pretty cool, huh?
But the scarier the better, man.
Hey boy, put your hand in this
Or
box and see what happens.
the little spider pet from the Harkonnen
I don't want
homeworld.
that. That thing had like human hands, dude. That's wild.
I know, I know.
I saw a theory that it was the doctor's wife.
Ooh,
Like that
that's
maybe Harkonnen didn't kill her.
ooh,
He turned her into some kind of like creature. Yeah,
I
it's
don't
pretty
like
wild.
that.
Do you still want it now?
No, I want it if it's an insect. I don't want it if it's an insectoid person.
Oh
Arachnid is
goodness.
probably, I guess, is the correct term.
The correct verbiage. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right, next question. Hot date. Who you taking on a hot date? I think we both have the same answer for this one.
Is it a
Okay,
date or
maybe not.
is it like a hangout?
This is
I
still
want
up for interpretation.
I want to hang out with Duncan Idaho, and I want to go on a date with Jessica.
Exact same. I wrote down the exact same things. I,
And call me
I
crazy. I
said
wanted to go out with Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat and Doctor Sleep.
yes.
So
Yes, yes. I'm there. I'm with you, pal.
what if you could? What if it was Jessica, but she was wearing the hat
It's all related.
from?
Dune
It's
and
all
Stephen
one thing.
King's.
Right. Frank Herbert and Stephen King secretly collaborated.
Can you imagine what that would be like? That would be actually a probably really good book.
Yeah,
I'd watch it or read it.
I'd watch that book too.
All right. Yes, Rebecca Ferguson could use the voice on me whenever she wanted. All right. Next question. All right. Goat. The Goat Award. I swerved on this one a little bit, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Who did I put? I know it's not necessarily like I've read most of the book. Makes me feel
Mm-hmm.
like a poser saying that, but like I will say that
You're not. I did the same thing.
Josh Brolin played that character exactly how I thought that he was in the book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when I picture that character, I pictured exactly how Josh Brolin acted, sounded, walked, talked. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Him
Yeah.
and him and him and Oscar Isaac as Leto,
Yeah.
Leto,
Yeah. Leto.
if you will. And that's
Yeah.
not necessarily goat. I think that's more like perfect casting
Sure.
for me. So
Yeah. So I cheated. I swerved a little bit. I'm going with Dennis Villeneuve as the GOAT for this one because he wrote, produced, and directed. So I just
that's no, I like that. That's good.
because I think like we talked about it earlier, like the acting across the board was just really great, so I found it hard to choose one actor or actress who
Mhm,
really like went above and beyond.
mhm,
So I just thought the way he was able to bring that cast together, again, the cinematography was incredible. I thought from what I've read of the book, because full disclosure, I bought the book after the first movie and I was hoping to finish it by the second one. It's still sitting over there on my nightstand unfinished. Um, I, I think but from what I've read, like you said, he's pretty close to the source material, from what I can tell.
yeah.
A few creative choices, but I think probably for the better.
Mhm,
But I just thought he did a really good job.
mhm. Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
cool. Thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, pal. All right, last one, and this one is probably the toughest question for me, toughest award category. Um, but freshest take.
Freshest take.
The look on your face says it was hard for you too.
It
I had to dig
was.
a little bit for this one. It was
I
a
didn't, I
reach.
didn't write anything from it because I thought I'd just be able to come up with it.
Just wing it.
But just, mm-mm.
That's very punk rock of you.
So I live my life, man. This is how I live.
So
You go
I
first, and I'll
love it.
speak to it.
Yeah. So, and again, I kind of reached and was a little bit creative on this one. I thought I kind of went not just towards the movie, but the source material in general. I
Mhm,
thought it inspired a lot, right? I think George Lucas has even come out and said like a lot of Star Wars was inspired by the story of Dune, right?
mhm,
So look at like they both had emperors. The voice and the force were both kind of like those were comparative, I guess, compared things.
Luke
You
and
see a
Paul are
lot
whiny.
of what's that?
Luke and Paul are whiny.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. So I think that would be, I think, my freshest take, and that's kind of cheating for the movie because I don't think the movie did anything. It wasn't an original story, so they're kind of taking something that was already created. So I kind of went back to the
Mhm.
original source. So that's mine. And if you don't have one, that's okay.
I just don't think I got one, man. Other than
That's
I
okay.
feel like I wish that we would have spent more time at the Harkonnen homeworld or in the
And
Sardaukar as a whole, like as a unit, like better. Like the only thing we know is like, oh, they're really great at fighting, but like, why? How?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
um, and you can't do that honestly. Like you
hmm,
can't do the history of in like that movie. You know,
sure,
wasn't relevant for that movie, so we didn't get it, but I feel like there were things I would have liked to have been spent more time on. And I know that's not
Hmm.
really a fresh take, but I guess it's more like
Yeah, that's cool.
I would have liked to have known more about that. So
Sure. And I think we might get a little bit more of that, right? Once we get into the next
yeah,
movie, like, because it's going to be
yeah.
more about more battle and war and the combat and everything. So I think, I think that's what we got. So,
Hmm.
because this one, I kind of, I compared it to like the Fellowship of the Ring. If you're comparing it to the Lord of the Rings movies, it's like this one is very much like a just world building. You get to meet the characters, you progress the story, and then the second one's going to be more about like large scale battles and warfare
I
and things like that. So I think we'll get a little bit more. I'm hopeful.
think we'll get a Helm's Deep situation.
I saw an article that said like it's like the scale of some of the battles whatever is going to be like similar to Helm's Deep, and that made me, I know
Mm,
because if you follow me on Letterboxd, Two Towers is on my top movies. So
this is a good one.
yeah. So all right. Well, that does it for our awards and categories and anything. Dan, anything left over on your mind? Anything you think you forgot from earlier? Or...
No, I don't think so. Just I would encourage anybody who's listening to us, to like maybe Dune or Alien or even Saltburn are not really your style or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was when I was talking to people about this and saying, like we're doing Dune next. It was like I don't really like sci-fi, but like you know try something new. Like
Yeah.
I would encourage a lot of people to like just try to like Saltburn is not a movie I would have picked for myself. I
Same.
liked it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think that what I would like people to get out of this is just there's a lot of movies out there, and they're easy to get. So expand your horizons,
Yeah.
if you will.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to buy a streaming service, you can pirate it somewhere. Just kidding. I don't condone pirating, but
Oh, come on.
yeah, you had a really serious moment there, and I just kind of
I don't. Well, I'm just trying to like. I know, and
no,
and
that was
it,
good.
it's.
That was
I
good.
just like movies, man. And
Yeah.
I think
Same.
they can be effective ways of telling really great stories, portraying really hard emotions, putting things that a lot of people don't know how to express into a visual medium. I really appreciate them. You know,
Yeah.
but if you're only watching rom coms or only watching horror, I think you're
Or Jack
um,
Reacher.
limiting yourself. Yeah, Jack Reacher, Home Alone too, and I think you're limiting yourself, Dustin. Oh, sorry, everybody.
But yeah, no, Dan, I think that's really good, and yeah, I don't think I need to expand on that at all. Yeah, so hopefully, those of you that are listening and following us and all that kind of stuff, hopefully you guys are enjoying this content. Dan and I'd think for both of us when I say that we're really enjoying this and enjoying diving into movies that, again, either we love or some, like Dan said, like Saltburn. I never would have chosen to watch that probably by myself. So, but it was a fun experience. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in, for following, liking, subscribing, and please continue to do so. Keep up with us, interact with us, tell your friends about us. Our last pod, not that it's about success or numbers or anything, but a lot of people tuned in, and that's always really encouraging, and would love to see that continue to go in that direction. So
Yeah.
until next time, now this is
Yeah.
podcasting.
Now this is podcast.